It was a really cool experience. I got to meet so many cool people. I've already met two Medal of Honor recipients because of it. Yeah, one of which I literally just met 2 days ago. John Baca. Him and I have very similar stories. His is cooler than mine. You know, his story is in Vietnam. He was in the army, and he was on point, and they were in a night. They were patrolling at night, and they got ambushed. And he was in a recoilless rifle team. Got his rocket out, put a rocket up, and then a grenade came and fell in between him and then six of his buddies, and he was like, "Not today." Got his helmet, put his helmet over, and covered it up, and he took the majority. I mean, he took the entirety of the blast, saving six of his buddies' lives.
So Brett Molly coming back on the podcast, man. Thank you for making some time, dude.
Oh yeah, of course, man. I mean, when we were talking earlier, we just graduated a new course of infantry Marines and got a little bit of a break, a couple days, and then come Tuesday, gonna do the USO Marine of the Year celebration here on base. So I get to see all my boys do it with me, and it'll be a good time.
Thank you, man. So for the people who haven't watched the first podcast Brett and I did, I highly recommend go watching that. He's got an amazing story. Brett, you're in the Marine Corps. Brett's in the Marine Corps here and does a lot of amazing things. We'll get into it, but yeah. So you just graduated a lot of great people. It sounds like you are onto some great things. That's always amazing to hear that too. When you told me, I'm like, heck yeah, that course is pretty cool. So what do y'all do exactly? Like, if you tell it, but what do y'all do? Like,
Oh
what's
yeah, I mean, I can tell you, and then anybody who's trying to become an infantry Marine exactly what we do here at SOI West. There's no joke or no hidden thing, anything. So like I can take you basically the week by week through the 14 weeks that you'll learn how to become an infantryman. Um, Week one, it's all mainly administrative, like make sure we get you, ready academically, ready to do the next 13 weeks of your course. Followed by there's one day that's we call it T Day one, where it's kind of an introduction to everything that we do as infantrymen. There's some walking around. There's some fighting. It's overall like about a 10-kilometer movement with about 35 pounds on. So yeah, you're moving. I'm leading the pace, having a good time. There's some exercises in between, and oh yeah, it's a good time. It's usually a break off for the kids, but sorry, I call them kids for the junior Marines that are with us. But it'll be my fifth time doing it come July 1st. So do it all over again.
man?
So that's week one for you. And you got week two, which is the start of our shooting package, which is called AMTP, which is Advanced Marksmanship Training Program. You got that week one and week two with introductions into different weapon systems. Get to shoot some grenade launchers, throw grenades week four. Learn some very needed skills of land gap navigation with maps, compasses, protractor. Learn all the math behind it. Learn some basic demolitions. Learn how to shoot rockets. Learn how to shoot machine guns. You got some patrolling thrown in there, and we're probably like week 8 now, and you'll get into fire and movement where you're running and your buddy to your right of you shooting the target, and then he gets up and you're shooting, and it's like this coming across the whole battlefield. It's pretty cool to see. It's pretty scary for those who've never done it before. And then live fire maneuver, followed by some defense, and then we end the 14-week course with a thing called WarX, which is anywhere from 40 to 100 miles, depending on how long the week is of just movement, and it's pretty brutal. We just finished it 2 weeks. Yeah, last week I would say, yeah, last week from like from today actually. So Yeah, it was a brutal one. My feet still hurt from it. So,
So there's a lot of movement, a lot of stuff coming at
oh
you,
yeah.
you're coming in, right? So like, so you have to be pretty much like, these are your like new guys that are coming in, right? These are people who just got there, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we get them. So they're not recruits for us. So the recruits are trained by drone instructors. Those are down in one of the two locations, either Paris Island and the Carolinas or MCRD San Diego here in California. And then we'll get them from there and we'll start our training.
Oh, really? So you're just, they're coming in like, they're ready to run and gun and learn some more stuff.
Sometimes we have a few guys who are usually not about it and get very empathetic, and some of them will break through it and will come out of it. But unfortunately, others will quit on themselves, and then we either have to find a way to make them not quit or kind of have to just let them go, which is unfortunate. But
That stinks, man. But for the people who do stay though, I remember in the last podcast you said something about being, as far as like training and stuff like that. You talked about, I think you mentioned something like being comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
yeah, for sure.
So that play a big part of it. Like, are these people like people who are like training, like they already have like a previous like fitness background, but these are people who are like, these are going to like different levels, right? They're being, like you said, being comfortable, not to put words in your mouth, but being comfortable with an uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, they are constantly being put in positions to where they are not going to be comfortable. I mean, as instructors for them, we're uncomfortable too, but we're kind of used to it because I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years where these kids that were sleeping in their mom's bed, you know, 18 months ago. I meant in their mom's house, not their mom's bed. But
I know what you meant.
the yeah, I mean, go snuggle with mom sometimes, I guess. The the main thing is like a lot of it has to do with like getting their feet wet because getting your feet wet is the worst thing, especially when you're wearing boots. It is terrible because you got to keep pushing through and you're just your feet are wet, they're soaked, they hurt even more because they're wet. So we try to walk through streams and waters as much as we can when we're doing like any kind of physical training. So usually it's usually the hardest part for the students because they just can't do it.
So is it, or so I understand, like I'm very much a student. I'm just a guy who podcasts, but so like kind of talk to, like, if there's someone out there like me who doesn't know much about anything. So like when you talk about your boots and going through this and that, like, was that something like, what is that? What am I trying to say here? Not to be too wordy. I tend to make things too wordy, Brett, if you haven't noticed.
Nah, it's all good.
So what is there like a type of terrain or type of like environment you're like, oh man, this is like the best, like as far as like training, or as far as like the toughest? Is there anything like that? Or like, oh man, this
Uh, I mean, IMC is pretty challenging. It's not the hardest thing I've ever done in my career, but it is definitely well, like the recruiters will tell you, like if you were to go to talk to a Marine Corps recruiter today, boot camp is the hardest thing you'll ever do up until becoming a Marine, which is, I think, inherently true. Um, IMC is vastly harder than that, at least physically demandingly wise. It's pretty mentally demanding as well. We're just not breaking them down anymore to the extent that we are trying to break a civilian down and turn them into a Marine. Um, so it is extremely challenging. It's not, I mean, we're not on the level of challenging as like, SEALs or recon or MARSOC or becoming CAG or Green Berets by any means, but I mean, we're making young men and we're turning our men and women and turning them into war fighters. So
okay, that's so cool to hear that too. It's like that's just, I always find it fascinating to hear those like stories and podcasts and stuff like that. It's like what are you willing to do? Like what are you willing to sacrifice type thing? Like push
yeah,
like
for sure.
to go about it. Like that's always find that, I don't know why, just even though I've never been, I have zero military experience, obviously, but that's just like hearing those stories. I mean, that's so cool. Like it's like a type of different level of motivation for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a lot, like a lot that we do. And I mean, myself as like, at least with my 16 students that I get, I like to teach them, you can't do it for yourself. As soon as you become selfish in this organization, you're not doing it for the right reasons anymore. Like you have to look to your left and your right. You gotta do it for the guys and girls to your left and right. Because if you don't, like you're gonna have a very hard time in the Marine Corps. So like we kind of try to preach like, that brotherhood aspect of things. And I think that's something the Marine Corps does very well, is maintaining the brotherhood aspect.
Definitely. Do y'all? So I've always heard like so. I like I said earlier, like a few seconds ago, to kind of backtrack a little bit, a couple of paragraphs. So I talked about how I listen to podcasts all the time, and listen to these stories and things of that nature. So
Hmm.
I know different levels of different branches have different things. You have Hell Week, they have different things like that. But y'all don't have anything in the Marine Corps or anything, do y'all? Is there anything like that equivalent or no?
Well, I mean, nothing is that extreme. Well, I mean, in Marine Corps recon, our recon agency, well, I mean, they have some intense stuff. Like their swim calls are like on par with Buds. They even go down to Coronado, and they do some pretty intense stuff. But MARSOC, they have this thing called ANS, which is it's a few weeks, and it's pretty brutal, pretty enduring. And that's a selection. It's assessment and selection. So that's their process of selecting MARSOC operators, which is the Marine Corps version. Well, they're the Marine Raiders is what they are. I can't say they're a version of the SEALs because they have completely different mission sets. Um, but the uh the assessment and selection part's not even the hardest part of being a Raider. Like even the next follow-on school is even harder than being selected to become a Raider. So the Marine Corps has its things where it's challenging, difficult. The Marine Corps kind of likes to just be difficult in everyday activities, though. So, you'll have good leaders who are like, "Hey, just challenge yourself today. Go on a good hard PT, go on a good hard run, go climb, Widowmaker, which is one of the worst hills in Camp Pendleton, or go visit your buddies on top of the Horno Crosses, which an extremely it's a very vertical hike. There's a rope attached that you can take, like you can hold the rope while you go up. It's pretty steep. So, good leaders will challenge their subordinates to become like to kind of put themselves outside of the comfort zone. I'm not saying by any means that the Marine Corps is harder than becoming a Navy SEAL or anything like that. It definitely just depends on what kind of mold you fall into.
So I think we kind of talked about it in the first podcast, talking about how like you kind of like found your calling, like the Marine Corps for you and anything like that, and that was your thing. I don't want to kind of like go into a lot of that, but if you want to go listen to it, the first podcast, I'll link it below. But another thing that uh I want to congratulate you on, kind of talk about. I'll make this cool back around. I promise I'll make this come back around. So
You're good.
so there's an article that kind of got published about you, and I thought that was super cool. And I'll link it down in the description below for people who won't read it. Go right ahead. It kind of talks about what we talked about in the first podcast. And one of the things you think you said was how you got something called your halos.
Yeah, the combat instructor Halo.
So what? So I was kind of reading that. So kind of, and not so like kind of like what is that? So that what everybody gets when they graduate from a course, or is that something that get toward the end? Like kind of for everybody listening, like, what are those? I guess in a nutshell.
Okay. It's in my garage right now, so I can't get it out for you. I apologize. What it is, it's an elastic headband. It goes around your Kevlar, your helmet, and it's supposed to identify you amongst the students. It's a little bit easier to do that, just because of the gear that we wear compared to what the students wear. Um, but we get it when the week you're graduating KISS. We go up this mountain called Old Smoky, which is also a very vertical mountain. It's a lot of walking. It's pretty high up, and there's some crosses up there. Um, and I took it. I took that very seriously because my KISS instructor or combat instructor, school instructor, um, he gave us a very, very good uh brief on what this meant to him and kind of how it should mean to us. And he said in his own words, this halo doesn't represent you being above, being above these students. This halo represents you watching over them and becoming their guardian angels. And I mean, I took that to heart. That's probably one of the reasons why I ended up, doing the actions that I ended up doing with the kid in the grenade pit. But, um, I just, it's also always kind of been a part of me. Like I've never been the leader that's gonna like just tear somebody apart without kind of trying to figure out why they did something or anything like that. Um, so ha- being a person, like being a man to me is usually comes before becoming before being a Marine. So like if somebody has some like grown man stuff going on, I'll be like, hey man, I'm a grown man, you're a grown man, let's talk it out. Let's do it. Let's dog it out real quick. And then we're good there. Now I can be like, all right, now as a Marine, you messed up by doing it this way. You need to do it this way next time. So I feel like that's kind of where that mentality comes from. And I mean, you have leaders in the Marine Corps that do very well at that. They'll become very personable and they can do very well. And then you have other leaders who, for lack of better words, forget where they came from. They forget that their subordinates below them and feel like that's kind of becoming a trend in the Marine Corps at higher levels. I wouldn't say the highest level because Sergeant Major in the Marine Corps right now is phenomenal. Everything I've read about him and everything I've seen, he's been outstanding. And I really wish I could have met him when I went to the USO ceremony, but I'm sure him and the Commandant of the Marine Corps were extremely busy. So if you see the Sergeant Major Cruz, be cool to meet you sometime. um, but yeah, so um, there's leaders that are trying to lead from the top right now, and I can see it, and it's pretty cool to see. But there's some leaders right in the middle that are just killing a lot of morale in different locations. But I feel like that's just kind of anywhere in the world, not just the Marine Corps.
Yeah. And you, like you shared, like be able to, like you said, just be able to talk, like you said, man to man, like before you're a Marine, like, hey, like you said, that takes a lot too. Like to see like someone who's like a recruit, like you said, like he's like, oh man, like maybe it's not so much just like maybe you have that one day or that session where you're training, like maybe you're not there mentally 100%, or like you have your leader come up to like, okay, like what's going on? Like you're like just have that one on one, maybe that can like help them, like, okay, like this maybe this guy's like me, he's not just here to kick my butt all the time. He's here to be like, okay, like this is what a leader really should be. That's really
For
cool.
sure.
Man, I like to hear that. So,
Heck yeah.
and another thing too, so you said you went to a ceremony for the people. I mean, I know this too. Like you had an amazing story in my first podcast too. Like you help someone in training, which is a pretty cool story. You said I'll put this all in the description below for people can go back and go watch it, and listen to it and read about it. But you got Marine of the Year, which is freaking awesome, dude. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. I got to meet so many cool people. I've already met two Medal of Honor recipients because of it. Um, yeah, one of which I literally just met 2 days ago. John Baca. Him and I have very similar stories. This is cooler than mine. You know, his story is he in Vietnam. He was in the army and he was on point and they were in a night they were patrolling at night and they got ambushed and he was in a recoilless rifle team, got his rocket out, put a rocket up, and then a grenade came and fell in between him and then six of his buddies and he was like, not today. Got his helmet, put his helmet over and covered it up and he took the majority. I mean, he took the entirety of the blast, saving six of his buddies' lives. Um, and he took it extremely well. Like, I mean, there's no way that he should be here. And he's quoted in saying that he felt the presence of an angel holding him around him and comforting him. And keeping him safe, like as he was getting extracted, and like he felt no pain. The only pain he ever felt, like at least during the incident, was him trying to move his legs to make sure his leg was still there. I was like, that's awesome. And he kind of boot checked me a little bit. He was like, "Oh, those are your scars. Those aren't anything. Here's mine." He lifts up his shirt and his stomach, all of his stomach scars from the grenade. And I laughed. I was like, "Yeah, you got me beat, dude. I never said I was cooler than you." He was like, "Well, you're taller than me, so you gotta, I gotta have something on you." It was pretty funny. He was an awesome person to talk to and be with. He gave me so much stuff, just to like, pass on to others. And the biggest thing that he kind of told me is that generation of warfighters are their biggest fear is being forgotten. And it's kind of sticking with me pretty hard. So I have some challenge coins that I'm going to give out come Tuesday for my base celebration at the USO that hopefully some people can remember him by. I mean, he's nowhere near dead. He's lively. He's hitting up all the old ladies in his little area. He's a little. He still hits the speed bag every day. He was sitting there getting it. I was like, holy crap, he's got faster hands than I do. He'd probably knock me out cold. But he's got an amazing story. Medal of Honor recipient from Nixon, I think is who we got it from. And man, it was a crazy time back then too. So like, it was an honor to meet him. So,
So cool to hear all that too, man. Just the someone who, like you said, who's a Medal of Honor recipient and all this different stuff, who's just gone through so much stuff, who we could probably like swap stories with. It's so cool to hear that.
oh yeah.
I just hearing it now, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. I felt like I was listening to a movie or something. I'm like watching a movie. I can see it in my head. I'm like, it's so cool. Like, like
Yeah.
it's pretty good movie moment. Did it feel like a like? Did it feel like surreal? Like, how'd you hear about it? First of all, that you're getting like you were like Marine of the Year. Like, how'd you hear about all the
Um,
prize or just hey, you want it? Let's go train.
my my battalion commander, who's I guess my boss's boss, said that he was going to put me up for some stuff, and I had no idea what any of it was. And it was like January of this year. He gave me a phone call like the day before I got notified from the USO themselves. It was like, "Hey, just so you know, yeah, you won." I was like, "What? Okay, cool. What did I win?" Like, whatever. He's like, "You won the USO Marine of the Year thing." I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's really cool. What is that?" And he like kind of sent me some information on it, and I was like, "Oh, dude, that's super cool." And then I found out one of my other buddies that I've known for a couple years now, he had won it back in 2020 for saving a family's life here in California on the I-5. He like pulled off the road and helped him out and did God's work. And like, so he won it in 2020, but that was COVID year. So like his celebration was a lot weirder. But I mean, um, it was a really cool, it's been an honor. I mean, I got to meet so many cool people at that event. Toby Keith's daughters were there. And with his passing, it was super surreal he was a huge USO supporter. Vince Wilfork, he was awesome to meet. Mark Rippon, I got great photos with them. And yeah, it's been awesome. I got to meet Lieutenant General Adams, who's in the Marine Corps. He's a 3-star general, and he was extremely like awesome to talk to and get to know, along with all like the sponsors of everything. Got to meet a few Silver Star recipients, a lot of Purple Heart recipients. Got to meet, there was a Medal of Honor recipient there, though I don't remember who it was. I was very brief interacting with him, so that was unfortunate. But I did get to hang out with all the other Service Member of the Year nominations from all the other branches, and they were a blast. It was a lot of fun hanging out with them. Me and the Army, the Army representative, his first name is Tanner. We got along very well because he's a medic in the Army. So we had a freaking heyday. And his story is awesome too. If you get to read the USO's write up on him. But basically, he saved 2 people from freezing to death in the mountains of Alaska. So dude's a hoss, dude's an animal. He's so much fun to talk to. And we got blitzed together in the US in Washington D.C. and it was awesome. He thought he could outdrink a Marine, but he couldn't. So my wife is not very happy about that night.
You can hold another W.
Yeah.
You made a price, but you won.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely suffered the next day.
That's crazy, man. But that's so cool. Like you're doing all this amazing things too. I mean, it's so cool to hear. I feel like when I first saw that on, I think it was on Facebook, I believe, or somewhere that you got like USO of the year and all this different stuff. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And then like all this stuff is happening to him. Like, oh, this is so cool. Like Brett, 1,000% deserves all this. I mean, just from it literally came at a perfect time because I did a podcast with you, and then like, oh, what's going on? And then I'm like, this is so cool. Like what you did was amazing too, and like the fact that you did all this, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You're meeting people left and right. I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was a great it's all been a really great like year. Last year was a little more rough, minus, the best thing ever happening, which was, getting married to my wife. Highlight of the year, straight 11 days, boom, accident happened. Rest of the year was pretty rough after that. But I mean, yeah, starting since January, this year's been amazing. Won the award. Just been blessed in many ways. We're having a baby boy in October. So yeah. So we're super excited for that. Baby Brixton Adam on the way. Initials BAM, BAM, so he's gonna be a menace. He's already like in the 90th percentile. So he's a freaking monster already. And I'm like, oh man, D1 baby on the road, let's go. So but we'll see how it goes. And then obviously we're gonna support him in any way that we can. So
That's so cool, dude. Congratulations again, man. They got a lot of cool stuff for you. That's so
yeah.
awesome. I bet you're just on cloud nine. It feels like right now, other than
Yeah.
like that every day. But I bet you're, I bet you're just living it up right now. That's so cool.
Oh yeah, it's been nothing short of a blast. So
But yeah. So you said like that's so cool. Is so Vince? What you got? You said you met some people like football players and all the different stuff. Like, are they bigger and like most stupid off the question? I just when you said them, like, are they like bigger in person or no? Or are they like
I can send you the photo of me and Vince. I'm almost the same height as Vince. So when I saw him, I was like, huh. But obviously he could throw me through a freaking wall. So when I shook his hand, I was like, yeah, this guy's a man. But I mean, it was awesome. And Mark Rippon, though, he was huge. He was tall as hell. So it was really cool seeing him. Both of the photos are super cool. I can send them your way. Um, but yeah, Dan Quinn was also there. Did not get to meet him, unfortunately. That would have been cool to be able to meet Dan Quinn. What's up?
defensive coordinator for the Cowboys?
Well, the old one, yeah, former, now the head coach of the Washington Commanders.
Crazy, Dan Quinn. That's so.
Yep.
We never got to meet him though. He already out before he.
Yeah, yeah. I went over to go meet him, and Vince Wilfork intercepted me on the way there because Vince Wilfork was the one who presented my award. So when I was like, I went up to him before he came out and talked about my award. I was like, "Can I get a selfie with you after, please? Like that'd be an honor." And he's like, "Dude, I wanted one with you." And I was like, "Okay, sweet, let's do it." So got a selfie with him. It was awesome. So yeah,
I mean, if I was in your shoes, I would like, if I was gonna be intercepted, I would want to be intercepted by Vince Wilfork. Obviously, I mean, it's Vince Wilfork and Dan Quinn. I mean, I was
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Quinn, but like still, like I don't know.
well, I mean, I'm not a Cowboys fan at all, so I'm a Packers fan. So I definitely don't like Dan Quinn.
So you're a Packer.
Yep, Packers.
Hey,
Go Pack Go.
We'll probably you probably still beat us. We don't have much of a team, anyways, right now. Not gonna
I
lie.
mean, you guys have a core of a great team. You just don't have I mean, I guess you have Zeke back, but shit, what has he done the past couple of years?
He after 2016, he pretty much stepped up. He dropped off a little bit. He's been a full. He gains probably half a yard or a yard if we're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, could I do it? No. So I can't really criticize him, but he's a maybe, what if he may have just like a glow up year and just, go off for 2,000 yards? Who knows?
I know it'll be. I don't know. I mean, I think Mike McCarthy's calling plays again. I'm not sure. So who knows
Yeah,
what's
what's gonna go happen? Yeah.
happening. So who knows? But yeah. What do you still look for the Packers this year? Are you looking forward, like, hoping for anything big this year? Obviously,
I
Super.
mean, Super Bowl or bust, but I want to see if, I was a coach and I could, plan things that I would like to see in this season. Number one thing would see that the next step forward for to have like a true number one wide receiver, whether that be Dobbs, Reed, or Watson. Like, I do not care which one of the three will step up and be that number one. If I were a betting man, it's gonna be Reed, unless Watson can find a way to freaking be healthy, but we'll see. Um, I think Dobbs is always going to be that true red zone number two, just because he's a big body dude who can catch the ball in the red zone. And I mean, Reed is just dynamic. So like that, I think that's my number one goal, and my number two goal is to have a defense that plays consistent football. Man, there's games where I'm like, holy crap, this is the defense we've all been talking about. And then there's other games like you're letting Ellen DeGeneres through right now. She's literally walking through and scoring touchdowns on you. So yeah, it's fun being a Packers fan, but not all the time. But I mean, it's been more fun than being a Cowboys fan. That's for sure.
Did y'all just extend Jordan Love to you or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did.
I was just to
Yeah,
say,
it feels pretty good to have three franchise quarterbacks back to back to back. I'll say that.
see if he can win the Super Bowl. Going Brett Favre and A Rod in that conversation. I
Well,
don't know. See, Aaron Rodgers backed up Brett Favre, and then who knows, and won a Super Bowl afterwards. So who knows?
yeah, it just took him. It was his second year that he won the Super Bowl. So
Cowboys
see how
Stadium.
that goes.
And Cowboy Stadium, unfortunately, I'm trying to forget as much as I can about that, as much as I can, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cowboys haven't won one since you've been alive. So.
I don't want to hear it, Brett. Not just messing, but yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I think if Dak, I don't know. Dak has to literally throw his arm off every series, every game. So who knows if unless Zeke can carry the ball, do something with it because we got Tony, we got rid of Tony Pollard. So who knows how our run game's going to be? So
Yeah, I mean, but he didn't even do what he was supposed to do last year. Dude was supposed to be an animal. He was supposed to go off last year, and he averaged less than Zeke did the year prior in yards per carry.
it's crazy. It's so crazy. I don't know. Unless you find someone else who can come up and sew up. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't know who else can
Rico Dowdle, I mean, he had a game or two where he was okay, but
take Ferguson. Maybe a tight end can maybe pop off and do something. Who knows?
yeah, I mean, you guys have, I mean, CD, who's arguably the best receiver in the league right now. Dak, who can get in the ball. But outside of that, in your defense, I don't know what you guys have. I mean, a good offensive line, but you guys always have a good offensive line.
We got rid of we picked
Yeah,
up
you guys got rid of Tyron, right? Tyron Smith.
tackle, and then we drafted. I want to say another tackle
Yeah, you did. You try to replace him.
replacement, but then we have Tyler Smith. He's been playing with us for a couple years.
Yeah, you guys still have him.
Well, with him, Zach Martin's, I think, going to retire soon. I have a feeling
Yeah, I think, yeah,
soon. So literally, our O line is going to be rebuilding for a little bit. So without our O line, we're not going to have much of anything because that's pretty much the ones who control the game, I think. But I
yeah, for sure.
don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, show. I mean, I want you guys to suffer, so I do not like the Cowboys.
But we may be rebuilding for a little bit. Who knows?
You
Um,
guys have been rebuilding since the 90s, bro.
no, we always get built. We always get compared to the '90s. It sucks. It's every year we go 8-9 or 8-8 and fall off in the first round. But I don't care.
Well, you guys did not do that this year. You guys just fell off in the first round. You guys were what? What was y'all's schedule? Like 12 and 5? You guys went like 12 and 5?
It's so crazy. Like we were, I think 12-5, yeah, and then I don't know how, but yeah, I think one of these years we're going to be able to do something. I don't know. I say that as a Cowboys fan. Every year it felt like we say that. we lose in the first round. I don't know. 2014. I was if we had a time machine go back to 2014. That was I think that Des didn't catch it play.
No, I'm a Packers fan, and Des caught it. So
Still brings a tear to my eye to this day. Right.
yeah,
And it's kind of crazy now that Mike McCarthy's with us now.
yeah. I mean, that's true too.
I bet you're happy though that he's gone though. I bet so.
Yeah, Matt LaFleur is way better.
Who knows? We may get a new coach. This new everything. Just not play football.
Well, you guys need a new owner. Sorry, Jerry, don't kill me, but dude, you're washed.
I get so mad at Jerry because he's this whole my hand doesn't cramp situation going on. But yeah, didn't sign anybody in free agency. I'm like, dude, like that's your point to go and sign somebody. You didn't spend a penny on anybody.
Yeah,
It's not Jerry though. That's not his cup of tea, supposedly, I guess. I don't know.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, the
Steven,
Packers aren't like that usually either. I mean, we're not a single owner team, but I mean, shit, we signed Josh Jacobs out of nowhere. Nobody saw that coming.
it's crazy. Yeah, at least I got somebody though. We got Zeke, but we signed him in the offseason. So who knows? Like we I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not above my that's all above my head. So I'm just
yeah, I know.
here just to be stressed on Sundays and Mondays.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get out of here, Brett, and thanks for coming back on, dude.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, man. Anytime.
Yeah, I'm always happy to hear your stories and talk football and sports with you. So it's always a great time.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. See you later, and thanks for everybody who tuned in and watched this. And Brett, see you later, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah. Be safe, man.